Doc Loves the Kids, a local Kitsap County nonprofit organization established in 2015 whose mission is to provide activities, programs, and community support for at-risk youth.
They put the U in community.
Doc Loves the Kids.
Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy.
We give you the courtesy of conversation
that's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And this is the show. Don't forget to like, listen, subscribe. Thanks to everybody that showed up to our live stream for the VP presidential debate. Also catch us every Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific time. That's when we have our recap of the week and we discuss things. What's going on in the world right now. Before we get on to the debate, I want to talk about Iran has fired missiles at Israel in retaliation against their current bombing of Lebanon. Sirens blare across Israel and loud booms were heard late Tuesday after Iran launched a missile attack on the country. The Israeli military said its missile defense system carried out a large number of interceptions, and the U.S. defense official said the United States intercepted some of the missiles to help defend Israel. After about 45 minutes, Israel Defense Force said it was safe for people across Israel to leave shelters. Spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Bagheri said the military did not identify any additional aerial threats from Iran. Bagheri said that while a few of the Iranian weapons did land and an assessment were ongoing, the IDF was not aware of any casualties. Now, from what I saw on X, they did some damage. They did a lot of damage. They took out the airport, they took out the Air Force, all their jets.
Really?
Yeah, they blew them all. They blew them up. They got a lot of them. They took out the Air Base. They showed the pictures of it. They hit a lot of military targets. They hit Mossad's building where he was at. They hit a lot of targets. I mean, I watched
Mossad is like their secret service kind of. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so I won't say secret service. Excuse me. It's like their CIA.
They showed the video. Like, one thing you can do, the news out here can tell you what they want to tell you, but that's only one good thing about X. You will see everything on Twitter. I'm not going to call it that. On Twitter, they're showing the missiles dropping. They're showing all the missiles they fired. They show the ones getting intercepted. They show where they landed. They showed the people in the bunkers screaming and crying.
I saw some videos. People just like recorded like it was just regular stuff going on. You know what I mean? Walking around like it was regular. And I say here it says at least one person was killed. I've also heard other reports of like upwards of 8 people being killed. I think the biggest concern about this right now is Iran had to do this. I mean, you've already attacked them. You've already killed an official within their country. I mean, whether you want to call him a terrorist or not,
he was in their country.
In their country. You know, I mean, you didn't do it in Qatar. You didn't do it in Turkey. You didn't do it anywhere else. And so you're trying to provoke them to war. Also, you know, you've been striking Hezbollah, which is their proxy, which Iran can't really sit back and say, hey, you can't attack Hezbollah or Houthis because that would be saying that these guys are working for me, you know. But at the same time, Iran has to do something. You know, they can't be a big brother and not fight for the little brothers who they have out there at the same, you know. And so America, that's just a major concern because just like the other day when you showed me the clip of the guy who was representing 58 Arab and Muslim countries.
I think it was 57 Arab and Muslim countries at the UN Assembly. He said, hey, look, we'll have peace with Israel. It can be a state with a 2-state solution for Israel and Palestine. He was like, that is our end game. He's like, ask Israel what theirs is. Because right now they're not going to tell you one. There's just to start endless war after endless war after endless war. And this, I told you, that's what he said. And this is the response to all that. They're like, what do you want to do? Do you want peace? They didn't say nothing. So they're like, all right, so you want war. Let's do it.
Iran really doesn't want an all-out war with Israel because it's going to be regime change. That's what Israel is looking for. I think that they're trying to get it all wrapped up and done. Someone's told them, hey, you need to get this wrapped up and done either before the election or before the new administration comes into power, because this isn't what's going to be going on after this, because they basically paid for this to be able to do what they're doing. People think that Israel is just, we're going to do what we want. But in reality, they came in under the cloud of our presidential election, not just the presidential election, but the House being elected, everybody running for office right now. And they just like they went out and they took out what was his name? Cori Bush, and then the other guy over in New York. They spent all that money.
And the gentleman in Oregon, yeah.
And so when you're running for president, you need House members, you need senators to be able to even have an administration, to be able to even govern. You need these people. So you and actually and running for president, you're going to need them too, because they give a lot of money. If they gave $25 million, I forget the guy's name, over in New York, for a primary, to beat him in a primary. They gave $15 million to beat Cori Bush over in St. Louis in a primary. Imagine what they're going to give for the general. They don't have to give as much for the general for those people, because they know the Democrats going to win that district, so they don't have to give as much. But you spent a lot of money to make sure you're getting pro-Israeli people in office. And so I think that they've done a lot of what they're doing just under the cloud of our presidential election. I think after it's done, it's like, okay, you know what, man, we can't have any more of this. Period. I think if it was a Joe Biden presidency, or if it was a Trump presidency, me personally, I feel like they wouldn't care. I don't think Trump's really too much. You're calling Chuck Schumer a Palestinian. You're almost degrading what being a Palestinian means.
Well, I mean, that's a horrible thing too. And when he first said it, I was like, if I was Palestinian American and I lived in America and I hear him say that, like, damn, that's like calling me the N-word.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Or it's like calling somebody else, you're acting like a black person. You know what I'm saying? Like, pretty much, you're acting like a black person. That's pretty much what you don't think a person who would say that about a Jewish senator a Jewish senator from New York who's been pro-Israeli you're Jewish. I mean, not only top of that, he's been pro-Israel his entire career. Now you're calling him like a negative word. You're saying he's a Palestinian, using that as a negative term towards him. You think that he wouldn't say something like that?
Yeah.
About you? You know what I mean? Like, it's like when I'm around people and they're talking about another race of people, and I'm like, man, you know what? If I know you're going to talk about them, what do you think you're going to talk about me when I leave? What you're going to say about me when I turn my back? And so, yeah, this has been, I think they told them they're supposed to be 240 missiles shot, ballistic missiles shot in all. I mean, in a total. I'm like, how do you know how many missiles are going to be shot? They knew before they even ran down. So somebody must have told them, hey, we're going to shoot about, just like the last time, they were like, we're going to shoot about 180 missiles at you guys. You figure out how to blow them up if you can. They don't really want the problem with Israel, because they understand that Israel, their army's like 5 times as big as Israel. It's way bigger than Israel.
But Israel has the U.S. on their back. So that's the
West,
whole thing.
Man, the entire West. I mean, but especially us, funding them, giving them weapons, doing whatever. And they understand that if this goes into an all-out war, which Israel wants it to, you blow up the Iranian consulate in Syria. You've done everything you could to say, this is not proven. This is not fact. It's just my opinion. And that's not to say it's true, just an opinion of mine. I believe they killed the president of Iran. Me personally, if you look at, I don't believe in coincidence, man. Look at the context of everything that's going on. You know what I mean? You kill right after he spoke with the UN Council. As soon as Netanyahu left off the stage, after everyone walked out on him, pretty much most people, 80% of the crowd walked out on him. He gave the order, and they killed him. I think his name Nasrallah or something like that. He was the Hezbollah leader. That's not an accident for you knowing where he was. You knew where you knew where to get to
and they got him quick too. Real quick.
You knew where to get to Hayani. You knew where to get to the second in command of Hezbollah. Like the next morning, you basically killed him. I mean, come on, man. You killed the Iranian president, defense minister. That's not an accident. They're not going into a cloud and dying. Something happened, man. Somebody on that plane either blew up the plane. Something happened, man. And Iran just can't say anything about it. They can't come out and say, hey, you did this, because then their country's going to say either you guys can't fight back. So why should we listen to you?
It could have been an explosive device, like other people were saying. You know what I'm saying?
But a pager. Could have been a pager.
Also, we just live streamed the presidential vice presidential debate. So Senior Wesley, how did you feel about the tone of the debate?
I mean, to me, I felt like this was like an old school debate. This was taking us back to like 2012, where where we have civility again in debates. We're not calling each other Little Marco or just making up weird names and making it a funny thing, like it's a joke to be president of the United States. Like I don't ever want to go and feel like the president of the United States, I can go have a beer with you. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I do. I want you to be down to earth, but I want you to be intelligent. I want you to have intelligence. I want you to be able to, be sharp, understand the, what's going on. I think these two did a great job today of actually being able to look vice presidential or even presidential. I think they both did a great job. I really feel like JD Vance one up to 51-49. Like I said before, JD Vance pulled that one out.
I mean,
I
I think JD Vance had a good one. The sad thing about that is, though, you know who's going to start talking right after it, and it's gonna JD Vance he's gonna make Donald Trump look crazy because JD Vance is so well spoken, so informed, so on topic that when Donald Trump goes out there, you're gonna be like, there is an old ass man.
This was their plan from the beginning. I mean, like I say, the Heritage Foundation. I can't right now remember the billionaire guy who has his back, who's the one who put JD Vance in the game. This was their whole entire plan, is to get him, because JD Vance used to hate Trump. They used to say the worst possible, all the worst things about Trump before this, and then all of a sudden Trump won, and they saw like the type of fervor that he got from his crowds. There was nobody. He was like a rock star, and as a politician. I mean, that's what Trump has become, a rock star of the Republican. He didn't even have to. I mean, as much as they say that Kamala Harris didn't run for her, didn't have a primary. Trump didn't even go to any of the debates. He didn't do anything at all, and he still won. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not going to compare the two because it's not a comparison. She's nowhere near as popular as Donald Trump or has that type of following as Donald Trump. But I do feel like they try to attach him to that following. I don't think that he's very good in that following. I think that following is not something that is natural for him.
No, see, JD Vance he's like an old school Republican. He talks smooth, he talks good. Tim Walz was good too. They were both good. It was nice and civil, and that's what I liked about it. But it's just like, now the people that are running for president have to speak. Kamala's going to keep the same thing that JD Vance is saying, and Trump is actually just getting a little more belligerent. He called for a purge the other day. He had a whole thing where they just had a section of him just rambling on. He wasn't even talking about it. He was just rambling. It was weird. You're like, damn, he's old, but the media is not going to test him on that. So, I mean, it's going to be good. We have 34 days by the time you see this, 34 days until the election. I don't think anyone's vote has been changed.
No, but it was a great debate, though.
It was a good debate. Yeah, it was actually better than the presidential one. Go ahead.
Yeah, Russia to raise defense budget by 25% to the highest level on record. Russia is to increase its spending on defense by 25% to its highest on record as Vladimir Putin vows to continue his war efforts in Ukraine and further escalate his standoff with the West. The latest planned increase in spending will take Russia's defense budget to a record 13.5 trillion rubles, which is 109 billion euros in 2025, according to draft budget documents published on Monday on the parliament's website. That is about 3 trillion rubles more than was set aside for defense this year, which was the previous record. Taken together, spending on defense and security will account for about 40% of Russia's total government spending, or 41.5 trillion rubles in 2025. The 2025 budget suggests Putin has embraced what economists has dubbed military Keynesianism, marked by a significant rise in military spending, which was fueled the war in Ukraine, spurred a consumer spending boom, and driven up inflation. Right now, I feel like, they saying that if Russia was to pull themselves out of this war, they're going to go through an economic spiral because their whole economy is based around war right now. They don't have a regular economy like we do right now. It's all war based. Everyone's in the war effort right now. But what people don't really understand is you have to go look at some of these outward projections of population. Right now, Russia's probably top 6 or 7, maybe 8, somewhere around there in the world. In the next 50 years, 50 years, they're going to fall under 100. They're at like 142 million people. By the year 2100, I know it sounds like forever for right now, but they're going to go under 100 million people. We got to start looking. This is why they're fighting now. He's like, it's over for us. I have to take back my former territories in order to be able to save Russia. Because Russia, they own the most. They have the largest land mass is run by Russia. They got all the Siberia, but they can't hold it. They don't have the troops to hold it, and they have a declining population. So they got to kind of take back some of these old territories. And this is why I'm like, it's good for us to fight them now, break them now. But we don't have to fight them directly ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see. When a dog's in a corner, it gets more vicious. Absolutely. So, you know what I'm saying? He's not just going to bow out and stop. He could have done that months ago.
He knows this is it for his country. He knows this is pretty much it's either do or die for us right now.
And Putin seems kind of like the person. He's kind of like a Donald Trump. He's like, if I'm going down, taking everybody with me. You saw they've been intercepting Russian jets over Alaska.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's a lot of posturing, but I'm more worried about right now, like, because if we give them the okay to fire our missiles, our long range missiles into Russia, and I think that the UK just kind of gave the thumbs up under. I've heard that. They kind of gave the thumbs up to do so. If we give that thumbs up and they start advancing, this is the first nuclear powered country to ever, not nuclear powered, but nuclear armed country to ever be invaded. This is the first one, Russia. You know what I mean? This is crazy. Russia, I don't think previous to this, I think the last people who invaded Russia were the Nazis. You know what I mean? That's it, you know, and they weren't they didn't have nukes at that point in time. So we'll see how this kind of gets turned out.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild one. Here, I wanted to do this one.
No, go ahead.
UFO spotted hovering in sky, shot down by U.S. jet fighter. A newly released image of a UFO shot down by a U.S. fighter jet over Canada in 2023 has raised questions about the object seen over the Yukon. Obtained via Canada Freedom of Information request from CTV News, the grainy image of the UFO seems to be a photocopy of an email printout. The outlet says the blurred image depicted a cylindrical object, identified as a suspected balloon. It was situated over 40,000 feet above Canada in February 2023, just days before it was shot down. On February 11, 2023, a U.S. F-22 fighter jet successfully intercepted and shot down the object. It had been tracked flying over Alaska 8 days prior. Officials in U.S. and Canada resumed tracking the UFO as it entered Canada airspace. This prompted Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to authorize its destruction. Shortly after 4:50 p.m., an American pilot destroyed the target using an AIM-9X missile. Now, this happened. I remember it was over Michigan. They made it a no-fly zone, and they said they shot something down, but they did not talk about what they shot down. And everyone was like, it was a UFO, and they have the picture of the UFO. Okay, it wasn't. They shot down a real UFO last year, and we were so busy. And whatever we was doing, the story kind of went, they said it and then they got rid of it. But think about this, folks. There was a UFO and they shot it down. That is news. And now we have the UFO's mothership hovering, and they're saying it's an extra planet.
They're saying it's another moon.
They're saying it's another moon. No, it's the mothership of the ship we just shot down. And it's going to be here for a while. Because now it has to, they'll be like, they'll be like, what were you doing shooting down our tourist spaceship?
now the aliens sound like Russians.
Yeah, the Russians sound like aliens. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
My bad. What do you mean? I don't know how alien talks. I never met one.
They said over the Yukon, huh?
Yeah, over the Yukon. They had one. Look, it came from it was Alaska. It was over in Alaska. Then it hovered over by because they had two of them. They shot two of them down, and within weeks there was that one. There was that one, and there was another one flying over. And
I'm gonna be honest with you. It makes it very, very difficult. I'm like, we can shoot down a spacecraft that can travel that far in space, can be shot down by our, by our primitive weapons. It just sounds great. I'm not saying it's not.
How are our weapons primitive? Just because we can't go into space and shoot laser guns.
Yeah, man.
But when you come into Earth, we got business for you. You know what I'm saying?
Man. I understand what you mean. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'm just saying, to me, it's like if a person can travel through space, they figured all this out, but they're gonna let a bullet beat them out. They've already been through the bullet phase. They've already had those.
How you know? They could have been like on one of those Christian missions, but alien style. We came to bring the word of boop.
No, they know about us down here. They already heard about. They heard about the.
I always joke. I see aliens fly past Earth and lock their doors. They're like, oh no. You know,
hey, they know. But they know all about us though.
Where's the ship? Where's the aliens? Because you shot it down. They went to recover it. They're just letting pieces. I remember this last year. I was like, damn, they shot down an alien ship. And everyone was like, what's that got to do with the rent? Gas is $5.50. I don't care about no damn aliens.
It's because they flooded the news channel with so much like misinformation about stuff that people just gloss it over because you haven't heard anything about it. You know what I mean? You hear about it. Oh, we did this. Because a UFO just means unidentified flying object. We don't. That could be anything. You know what I mean? Like it could be.
It was an alien ship, my brother.
No. I'm not disagreeing with it that it was. That they just try to make it out. Hey, we shot down an alien ship or UFO. They don't say an alien. They should have said an alien ship. That's what they should have said. People are like, what the hell is that? But they don't want to tell us this in real life. I'm surprised they even told us that this happened. One of the pilots must have said something. I want to know where the pilots were who did it. One of them's probably gone. Whoever told, he's out of here. Because I mean, why would they tell us that we shot down
It was
2
Russia that
UFOs?
gave us the information.
Was
Russia
it
released the photo and stuff. Yeah.
really? Was it them who shot him down?
No, Russia had
Really?
reported it. The
That
Canadian,
we that
excuse me, the Canadian government was ready to unveil the photo of the Yukon UFO after declassifying it and granting public access. However, they ultimately decided to hold off on its release. Per the outlet, Canada Military wrote on February 15, 2023, attaches an image approved to be released. We're looking at getting a better one to send to you. And they sent that picture. It was Canada. They waited to do it. They would have done it right then and there. Like I'm telling you, they shot down a UFO ship.
This is crazy.
Hella crazy. What's the last one you got, sir?
No, I mean, that's pretty much about it right there. I wanted to talk about the longshoreman strike that we're having right now, just kind of bring that up a little bit and kind of stay on point with that, because in all honesty, that it holds a lot more, a potential for dangers to our economy than what we know. Dock workers may have the negotiating advantage in their strike against U.S. ports. The 45,000 dock workers who went on strike Tuesday for the first time in decades at 36 U.S. ports from Maine to Texas may wield the upper hand in their standoff with port operators over wages and the use of automation. Organized labor enjoys rising public support and has had a string of recent victories in other industries. In addition to the backing of pro-union administration of President Joe Biden, the dock workers' negotiating stand is likely further strengthened by the nation's supply chain of goods being under pressure in the aftermath of Hurricane Helen, which has coincided with the peak shipping season for holiday goods. The union also pointed to shipping companies' record profits, which have come in part because of shortages resulting from the pandemic, and to more generous contract that West Coast dock workers achieved last year. The longshoremen's workloads have also increased, and the effects of inflation have eroded their pay in recent years. And so, like I was saying, this is why they're asking for more money. But they right now, like with the hurricane that just happened, I mean, they're talking about billions of dollars in damage that caused. We saw like the damage from that. It looked crazy. You know what I mean? When I looked at those towns, man, they show before and after picture of those towns. I was like, Jesus, man, it looked like it don't look like America.
They're
gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
at all. I mean, totally washed away everything. And so this does give them. I mean, like you said, it's peak season. What's coming up? You got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Say this shit went through the end of the year.
Well, they're saying, look, the ports affected by the strike handle 3.8 million metric tons of bananas each year, or 75% of the nation's supply. According to America's Farm Bureau Federation, Jason Miller, professor of supply chain management at Michigan State University, identified other perishable items at risk, including dates, figs, pineapples, avocados, and more than 80% of fruit juices. Let's see.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's supposed to be more. They're saying your holiday shopping is going to be done, or your holiday shop is going to be late. They're saying that it's going to affect liquor sales.
Everything, man.
Everything. Think about it. Think about it. You can't go. Some of the liquor is going to be missing. That's like in Pirates of the Caribbean when they're throwing shit all over the boat, and they're like, "We're not light enough. Throw out the rum." And everyone stopped. Was like,
Bro, let's throw some people out.
Yeah, they were like, "You can go."
Yeah. But I mean, that's the whole entire East Coast, all down South Florida, all that, all through Texas, man. I mean, you can't. There's no way that only thing that could really happen is that they could have to bring it to the West Coast. Bring most of them, put it on the West Coast. What's going to happen is trucking rates are going to go through the fucking roof. I'm going to be honest with you. Truckers are going to be super happy because there's going to be a lot more work in a certain part of but you got to go to California. And what's in California? The emissions rules that a lot of trucks don't abide by. You know what I mean? A lot of them don't want to deal with those emissions rules they got going on in California. And that's why California freight is so cheap a lot of times, bringing stuff out of California or sometimes even going into California, just depending upon. And so, I mean, I want to see how this thing plays out. I think this is pretty big. They try to utilize this a little bit in the debate as well, talking about the longshoreman strike, you know. But I think that this has to be paid attention to. Again, the government does have a card it could play. They could go and say, hey, you guys have to go back to the going back to the negotiating table for 80 days and force both of them back to the negotiating table and force people back to work. They could do that, but Joe Biden has decided not to. He wants to let them kind of negotiate this thing on their own. So we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, we're gonna see how it goes, man, because it can get bad real quick. I mean, actually, it'll take about 2 weeks Let 2 weeks hit, and then you're gonna be like, well, what's this missing off the shelf? Why is this not coming in? Why aren't my stuff from Temu coming in? And then it's gonna start hitting. I'm telling people, like I was telling people at work, I let them know. I was like, hey, this happened. You know what I'm saying? We may not be affected by it as much because we live on the West Coast, but the East Coast, y'all are gonna feel that. You're gonna feel that for real. And we're gonna keep you updated as it keeps going. You know what I'm saying? Uncommon Courtesy, catch us 1 p.m. every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
Pacific time.
Live show.
Well, you're more invited. We want to hear everybody and hear what you got to say. We ain't here to judge. We're just here to listen. All right. We're going to see y'all next time.